Shalom, giving our giving our praises, our glory, our honors unto Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai, by Hashem Kakadash, that belongs to the apostles and the elders of the great millstone. Peace and blessings to the 144,000 and the rest of the hopeful elect. I'm going to do a quick video dealing with some history and some points that Hebrew Israelites bring out a lot. Dealing with how in the history first and foremost, dealing with this guy Christopher Columbus, and we're taught in the American school system that Columbus came to the Americas or the West Indies looking for a route to the east to get spices, right? And he inadvertently discovered the Americas, the West Indies, and discovered the tribes that were living in the Caribbean, or what's known as the Caribbean today. But we Israelites, we teach that Christopher Columbus, or he's also, we know him as Cristobal Colon, a so-called Spanish Jew, all right, was intentionally coming to this side of the world because he knew that the Israelites were over here in the Americas. And we always say when we teach, of course, the 12 tribe sign, that the people on this side of the world, so-called Native Americans and the so-called Hispanic tribes, are Israelites, and that they were living on this side of the world for some time. So this here is from the JewishEncyclopedia.com, JewishEncyclopedia.com, and this is under Arsareth. Okay, now Arsareth, you find it in the scriptures of the book of 2nd Ezra and the Apocrypha, the 13th chapter. But let me read this. This is Arsareth by Morris Jastrow Jr. and Kaufman Kohler. So it says, the name, now this is under Arsareth, the name of the land beyond the great river, far away from the habitation of man, which is the known world at that time, the Asia and the Middle East, Western Europe, that region, in which the 10 tribes of Israel will dwell, observing the law of Moses until the time of the restoration, according to, now it says the 4th Ezra, but in the Apocrypha it's 2nd Ezra, because certain scholars count the book of 1st Ezra and the regular Bible and Nehemiah together with the 2 books of Ezra and the Apocrypha. So they count those 4 books together, but this is 2nd Ezra. So it says 13 and verse 45. Columbus identified America with this land. See Kayserling's Christopher Columbus, which is a book translated by Dr. C. Gross, page 15. So here in the encyclopedia, all right, America is also known as Arsareth, which, according to Columbus, he knew that the 10 tribes came here based off the scriptures. All right. So now let me go to the book. Now I pulled this book up, Christopher Columbus by Kayserling, translated by Charles Gross, C. Gross, 1829 and 1905. So this was and it was published in 1894. So post-slavery in America. But of course, our people weren't the most educated at that time. All right, you had to be a real scholar, so-called white scholar, to get this history. All right. So these are things. So there are things in books written in the 17 and 1800s that our people were not privy to, and that the so-called white man didn't perceive in the future, that we would use his own writings of his scholars to prove our point that we are the Israelites. So this is on page 15 of that book, and it says he was also very fond, and this is talking about Columbus, of reading the Bible in the fourth book of Ezra, or second Ezra, which was probably written by J.O.O., who lived outside of Palestine. According to his own assertion, the incentive that impelled him to plan his discoveries was not a love of science, but his interpretation of the prophecies of Isaiah. Okay? He was into the prophecies. So him coming to this side of the world and navigating this side of the world had nothing to do with that. That's what they tell you in our schools. It has everything to do with the 12 tribes and the prophecies of Isaiah and the other prophets like Ezra. So he knew that the Israelites were over here on this side of the world. Okay? He knew that they were on this side of the world, according to this book. Now, let's go to the Apocrypha in the fourth book of Ezra, or second Ezra, right? In the Apocrypha, the 13th chapter. All right? I'm jump down to the 45th verse. Okay? Now I'm going to jump up to verse 40. It says, those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hosea the king, whom Shalmaneser, the king of Assyria, led away captive, and he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land. Okay? Now that Shalmaneser, when you go into the history, that Shalmaneser, which is the king of Assyria, would be Shalmaneser the fifth when you go into the history. That was the fifth Shalmaneser that was ruling over Assyria at the time that the 10 tribes of Israel went into captivity. Now this is the history. It says, but they took this counsel among themselves that they would leave the multitude of the heathen. So you had 10 tribes of Israel leaving the Middle East and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt. The known world was mainly in the Middle East at that point. So what further country did they come to? The Americas. It says that they might there keep their statutes, which they never kept in their own land. And they entered into Euphrates by the narrow places of the river, for the Most High then showed signs for them and held still the flood till they were passed over. So the Lord, it was the Most High Yahweh that guided the tribes over to this side of the world, the so-called Western Americas. For through that country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half, and the same region is called Arsareth. Now, the word Arsareth is a Hebrew word which corresponds with the last words in verse 40, which just means here, another land. And how do you say another land in Hebrew? Okay. Let's go here. Another land. Deuteronomy 29 and 28, which says, and the Lord rooted them out of their land in anger and in wrath and in great indignation, and cast them into another land as it is this day. So this was a prophecy in the law, the Torah, right? The Torah. So that word in the Hebrew for another land, okay, is right here, which is achar aratazah. Achar for another, right? Achar. The Hebrew word is achar, and the rest of that word is aratazah. Okay? So achar aratazah, or Arsareth, okay? Which is what it's been transliterated into. All right? And translated into. So the region of Arsareth, that region where it took a year and a half for them to get from the Middle East, from the Euphrates to where no one else was living, would be the Americas. Because remember, they was going west, and that's where Columbus was going. So I just wanted to bring that I just wanted to bring that history out, and I hope that this was a edifying point. Dealing with Columbus and what he was searching, how he went into the prophecies. So with that, all praises go to Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Rakah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Shalom. Shalom to the hopeful elect.